We make it cool to be something. We make it cool to be something.
What's up, everybody? This is Joe Weil from WTBU and BUTV10. Right now, hanging out at Lace Boston with my co-host Tyler Benson, and right now we're joined by the man of the hour, Big K.R.I.T. What's going on,
How y'all
man?
doing, man? What's going on?
Doing well, man. You got Cadillactica coming out November 11th.
November 11th. No pushbacks. It's really coming out, man. It's really coming out. Yes.
I'm noticing the big beard right now. Is this a no shave till the album comes out? Beard?
No, this beard has been around for a little while. Like I did We Could Create with this. I started growing it around. Can't remember the time, but I don't know. I'm never cutting this off. Ever.
Keeping it going?
Oh yeah, women love this. I'm kicking it. I'm chilling.
The James Harden look.
Oh man, and not even James Harden, because James Harden look, I have to have a lot more going on. But now this is just kind of relaxed, kick it look. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, beer game, man. Whenever y'all ready to join, man, y'all welcome.
I'm trying.
You know,
I'm trying.
Now, obviously, you got the album coming out in a little bit. In your previous work, you've been able to explore different parts of your life. Now, what are we expecting here with Cadillactica?
Oh man, growth. At the end of the day, I'm getting older now, and I'm finding out more creative ways to express myself musically. And with the planet Cadillactica, I had the opportunity to create an entire planet. And on this planet, things are a little obscure, a little different than what you're used to. But it tells a story of life from the beginning to the end, and all the stuff that happens in between, from just being young and rambunctious to becoming extremely confident in yourself, and then wanting to find more to life than just running around and getting money. And then after that, the whole love aspect, and then hoping that you did everything you were supposed to do before it's all over. And it's all it is going on in this album. And I was just excited to be able to and ultimately tell the story of where the Cadillac came from that was on Live from the Underground. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited for people to hear it.
Now, K.R.I.T, you take pride in producing a lot of your past projects. Yeah. What's it like to take a step back this time?
I mean, it was exciting, and it was kind of like, leaving your comfort zone. You're always gonna be like a little nervous about how the workflow may be, but I had the opportunity to work with people that I sought out, people that I was already familiar with their production, Terrence Martin, Dahi, Raphael Sadiq, and Jim Johnson. Working with these kind of people, it was like they knew with my music, but I knew they were gonna give me something that I couldn't make for myself. And all of them don't necessarily sample. Raphael Sadiq's gonna literally play it live, or we're gonna make something that it sounds like a sample, but it's not. And that's ultimately what I end up creating, and I just learn from them because they all produce differently. And what it did was make me want to experiment a little bit more with my production.
Now, we were curious, where did this fascination of Cadillacs begin?
Oh man, well Cadillacs is it's like a classic kind of thing. You think about Southern hip hop and how it's always been the player, smooth way to ride around clean, you feel me?
Yeah.
And and when you just think of that, so I just thought it'd be cool to create an entire planet based off that name. And if it's a Cadillac that crash landed, why not it be a whole planet of Cadillacs and candy painted cars and purple trees and shit. Yeah. Excuse me, I probably can't curse.
No, it's all right.
Go right
it's all right.
Okay, my bad. Yeah,
it's all right. Obviously Mount Olympus just made the whole internet go crazy.
Thank you.
You went so hard on that track. And now on this album, you have a song called King of the South.
Yeah.
With Mount Olympus, it kind of sounded like a part of you was just ticked off. And I'm just kind of curious, what caused that and what caused this new style?
I mean, well, I wrote Mount Olympus the day after the Control verse happened, but we didn't drop it because I've gotten to a point now that I just don't react because something happened. Normally you got to sit back. Definitely not make emotional decisions at all. And I wanted to utilize Mount Olympus in a way where it really worked for me. And so I just saw so much. I saw a lot of positivity, but I saw a lot of negativity via social networking based off that one verse. And for me, it was like I've always been so humble. I ain't never had nothing to say about nobody, but I also have seen how sometimes there's a lack of respect for Southern lyricists, or we get overlooked at the end of the day. So I use Mount Olympus as my platform to showcase that, no, I'm not what you think I am, for one. Two, I am lyrical, I have subject matter. And then just to unveil the fact that there are certain things that happen in hip hop make you wonder, well, why the hell that couldn't have happened? Like, why couldn't Andre 3000 be the king of hip hop? You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things, and why people don't really go to places like Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas to do shows. And I just wanted to put all that out on a platform like that.
Yeah, and you just said, how you explore different topics. I think everyone's expecting you to hit on a couple topics. You did it in Live in the Underground. You obviously had Praying Man with B.B. King. You talked about Jim Crow era and just racial injustice. What social topics do you plan on hitting on this album?
I think the lack of soul food. And when I say soul food is something that's nutritious to your mind. Music nowadays it can become so disposable. you know. But we talking about when you come up an era of Outkast and Goody Mob and things, the music that they made, it stuck with you for so long. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is, I don't know, it's just been a gap with that it's like a song drops and then the next day it's not. And so it's about, all right, let's try to find a way to find something that's helpful to you, your spirit and your mind. And when you listen to it, you always take something from it. And that's what I touched on with the record with Raphael Sadiq called Soul Food. And there's other records on that too, yeah.
Now, you touched on this a little bit before, but how hard was it to cultivate a career like yours from Meriden, Mississippi?
Man, it was difficult. I had to leave my comfort zone. You know, I end up moving to Atlanta and you get evicted and you move back to Meridian and you try it again, you get evicted, move back to Meridian. Like I failed a lot on this journey. I've also had to leave home from Birmingham to Atlanta, then go to New York and try to prove myself, but it was all necessary. And I didn't realize it till now that I've dropped so much content. I have such a catalog, so much of a foundation, that now we get on stage and I'm performing music that I made in 2010 all the way up to 2014. And if we don't want to do those 15 songs, we can put another 15 songs in there and people will probably be familiar with it. So it's now I'm thinking, oh, this is my journey is like this. Yeah. It's all worth it at the end of the day, and I'm just excited that I have that much content out now.
Awesome, man. You know, I want to just talk about how back in the day you used to be a cellist. You used to be in the orchestra. So I'm curious, you know, how did you get into hip hop?
Well, hip hop was always there, you know, but when you're young and it's music, you just want to make music. You know, I wasn't as keen on rapping back then, and we talking about 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, I get to do music, you know. And so the cello was the only instrument. Then you don't have to buy it. They just give you one to take home. You know, we couldn't afford nothing like that, so I couldn't afford a viola, a violin, so I had the cello. And the same with the tuba. That's the only instrument in band where you don't have to buy the tuba. You just buy a $75 mouthpiece. So everybody else had saxophones and trumpets. And now, don't get it twisted, everybody want to play one of them instruments, but we couldn't afford it. And then, you know, so I ran with the tuba, but that's the main reason why my bass lines are there, like the way they are, because that's the instrument that I always felt like that held the bass in the body of the band. So.
Was there was it a friend or was it like somebody in your family that introduced you to rap music?
Oh, I said my pops, you know, playing the records he played, the tapes, the NWAs, the Scarface, you know, Mind Playing Tricks on me, things of that nature. And then, you know, ultimately finding my own way, my cousin playing UGK and, you know, Outkast and Tupac and Biggie, and being able to hear an array of music and cadence and things of that nature. I think that's why I'm able to create production from different coasts if need be, or carry a different cadence on a different record, because I've literally been listening to rappers from everywhere else for so long.
And was there like, what was the moment where you realized, obviously producing is just such a big part of your career, you know, what was the moment that you just realized, hey, I have something here?
Oh man, I did a project called Dirty 30 that I only dropped in Meridian, Mississippi, and I passed it around to my, I was selling them actually for $5, but I give them away in my hometown, and people would come back and they would be singing K-R-I-T. That was the hook. That was the hook. The reduction was like, but they took something from it, and it actually started to create the K.R.I.T brand from that point on. And then even back then, I didn't even necessarily have an acronym for it. My whole rap name was Critical, but I just shortened it for that particular song. So.
Awesome story. All right, now before we let you go, here in Boston, we have a growing scene right now.
Okay.
There's a lot of good rappers, and I'm just curious, you know, what would your advice be to rappers out here in terms of growing a grassroots fan base?
Build your foundation from the ground up. You know, YouTube, everything. People want to see literally you build. They want to see where you came from. If all your friends that support, make sure it looks like a movement. You know, normally when it comes to pressing up merch, that's one thing, but getting your own custom-made t-shirts, you have to invest in yourself because you want to show people that you believe that much. You also need to wait as long as possible on an independent level to sign to a major label, because you want to know who you are as an individual. When you do get your budget, it's not meant for you to blow it on materialistic. That's the money you use to pay your bills. In the meantime, you're doing promo tours, and that's also marketing money. Now that we have social networks, it doesn't take much to market yourself at all. So you have to be very wise on how you spend the money, because somebody overcharge you for something that literally you could just click a button and do.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so much for taking some time out with us. For Tyler Benson, Big K.R.I.T, I'm Joe Weil. Thanks for joining us. Check out Cadillactica November 11th.
No doubt.